Hip slide side to side. You want to keep the rib cage centered and the hips side to side. Using the obliques to anchor that rib cage in place. You want to be careful not to let the knees bend so that you get a lift. You want this hip slide to be parallel to the floor. Actively working the abs. And then we're going to take it forward and back. So when you come forward, actively engaging the upper abs to stabilize the rib cage in place. And when you come back, using the lower abdominals so that the pelvis doesn't drop, so that you can keep that parallel pelvis. Forward, upper abs, back, lower abs. Forward and back. Forward and back. Forward and back. And then we can take those little movements and draw a square. So we go to the left, to the front. When you come to the front, make sure you stay left. This is the square, not the diamond. Slide all the way to the right. Pull all the way back. Slide front, slide back, slide front, slide reverse. Slide back, slide front, slide back, slide and stop. You take that similarly and go into a diamond where the points are the front, the side, the back, and the side. So if we slide forward, angle to the left corner, back to the center, right corner, and front. So this is a horizontal hip diamond. Working to keep the pelvis parallel to the floor the whole time. And reverse. And then take the corners off and make it into your hip circle. Keeping it parallel to the floor. Make sure that your rib cage isn't counterbalancing with the hips. You want to keep it separate in its own place so it stays in the center line and the hips are kind of orbiting center line. And then reverse it. And then we can take the pelvis and we can lift it up, so pelvic locks up. This one I use a little bit of glute and lower abs to get that lock up. And then you can also do it down. When you go down, you want to make sure that you're never going to your full maximum extended range. Like if I really try, I can bring my back pretty deeply into a curve, but you don't want that for your belly down, so it's not good for your back to slam into that position ever. So when you go to the back, you want to use the lower abdominals to break it. I still have a lot of range that I could go, but I'm not going to use it because it's not safe for your back. So you want to find that little place where you can drop and have it be strong, but not have it be all the way the max of your range. It doesn't look good and doesn't feel good. It's not good for your body. So back, 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 back. Take your time if this is a new movement. Use the lower abs to lock that movement into place. And drop, 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 drop. So then we can go into lifts and drops on the side. Singles on the hips. Up and down using obliques. QL, lift and drop. The knees are actively working. And then we can connect those into a pelvic hip square. So we can lift the left hip, lower abs, right hip, and back. Left hip, lower abs, right hip, and back. Left, lift, right, back, left, lift, right, back. And reverse. Check in with your posture. Make sure your obliques are still engaged, your feet are still forward, throat is still open. You're holding your arms in a nice asymmetrical shape. And we can take that range of movement, take the corners off, and now we have Omi. So we contract the lower abs, Engage the side on the right, the lower back, left, and front. So as you come through, when you come to the back side, you're still tight in the lower abs so that you're not dropping the pelvis too far. Working on getting a smooth, complete range of motion so that you have evenness on all sides. And reverse. And then twists. You want to keep the rib cage forward and just let the pelvis twist. Using obliques to keep the rib cage locked down. And then we can combine those twists with the slide and go into a horizontal hip figure 8. On this one, you want to make sure that you're not bending the knees. That would be more of a stylization or more of a layer. You want to keep it parallel to the floor for the foundational movement. Working to keep the rib cage as still as you can. If the rib cage starts following along, it starts looking a lot less like an isolation. And then we can reverse that movement back to front. Reverse figure 8s. And then taking that movement and going vertical, we'll contract the right side, do a hip slide to the right, contract the left side while keeping the weight slightly into the right, and then slide over. That's Maya. Drop and slide, contract and slide, contract the right side and slide, and then smooth it out to hit Maya. And reverse that hip Maya. Slide, contract, slide, and contract. And from there we can go into a 3/4 hip. So we'll do ups starting on the right side. The hip's going to go up, down, up, and then the left hip is going to go up, down, up, 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 up, down, up. And those are our hip isolations. Side hip lifts and drops. We're going to contract the side to lift and then drop, and lift and drop. Contract, release, contract, release, contract, release. Here you want to make sure that your feet aren't too far apart. If your foot's out here, you're not going to have a lot of range of motion. It's going to become more of a twist. So the feet should be parallel and they should be fairly close. Lift and drop, and lift and drop. And then we can take on the side, if we imagine we have a pencil sticking out of our hip, we can take that pencil and draw a circle in this space in front of us. And then we can reverse that circle. You want to make sure that you're not breaking contact with the floor with the foot. Sometimes I see people try to break contact or externally rotate the leg. You want to try to keep the legs aligned and allow the movement to be driven using the abdominals and the back. And then we can come straight up through center, do a half circle to the front, come straight up through center, and a half circle to the back. So it's a figure 8 vertically on the side, front, lift, back, and lift. Front, lift, and back, and lift. And then we can reverse that by dropping in the center, and then front, so it's down and back, and down and front, and down, and back, and down, and front. Side hip 8s. Let's do all of those on the other side, just for balance. So we're gonna lift and drop, and lift and drop. Make sure your feet are aligned. And then circle. Take it back and contract, twist forward and drop. Also, something else to check in with while you're doing these side isolations is your level. Particularly, I see often people try to get their knees involved, so they get a lot of level change, but we want it to be isolated so that the hips are separate and isolated. And then reverse. And then figure 8, we'll drop it in center, take it back, drop it in center, take it front, drop it, and back, drop it, and front, drop it, and back, and reverse. Take it up, and back, and up, and front. Check in to make sure that your feet aren't breaking the floor, particularly the one on the ball. And other side. You can do the whole alphabet, but I'm just going to go through a few letters that I like a lot. I like to use the letter N, so we'll start in the front at the bottom. We'll lift up and drop, so it's like a half arc, or a full arc, half circle. Up and down. Letter N. And then we can split that in the middle for the letter M. And then we can reverse it, the letter U, down and up, and down and up. And then W. Take it up in the center, up in the back, up in the center, up in the front, up in the center, up in the back, up in the center, and up in the front. Make sure you're using your abs and not using the legs. You'll see that level change happen if you're using the knee to make the hip move. Other side. Letter N, we'll start in the back at the bottom. Up and over, up and over. And then turning it into the letter M, where we drop it in the center, lift to the back, drop it in the center, up to the front, up, down and center, up, down and back. And then reversing for the letter U, starting in the front at the top, drop it down and up, drop it down and up. You can use the glutes a little bit on the left side to get that hip up. And then taking that center, lift and back, center and front for the letter W. And those are our side hips. Belly roll, up to down. We're going to engage the upper abdominals, the middle abdominals, the lower abs, and then release. So for the belly roll, I don't like to use the spine. I like it to just be abdominal contractions. So upper abs, so we're squeezing the rib cage together, funneling together, really engaging that upper rectus abdominis, and then pulling the belly button to the spine, and then the lower abs. And release. Upper abs, middle abs, lower abs, release. So try to avoid movement with the spine, and just roll through those 3 contractions, up to down. Ideally, the rib cage would be calm and the pelvis will be calm. We want it to be separate. Gurgling bellies. And then we can reverse that. So we'll engage the lower abs and then pull the belly button to the spine and then the upper abs and then release. Lower abs, middle abs, upper abs, and release. So belly roll down to up. Make sure you're breathing. Try to remove the pelvis or the rib cage from the movement as much as possible. And we can take that movement and we can add just the upper body. So now we'll engage the upper back to start the movement. We'll roll back to engage the upper abdominals, and then the middle abdominals, and then the lower. We're going to keep it there and stop, so the pelvis isn't going to get involved yet. It's just going to be an upper body undulation, up to down. So it goes upper back, upper abs, middle abs, lower abs, upper back. It should be like waves where one is starting when the other one is finishing. And then we can reverse that starting with the lower abs. So lower abs, middle abs, upper back, and release. Lower abs, middle abs, upper back, and release. Flowing it together, trying to keep the pelvis out of the movement, isolating the upper body. And then we can do the similar exercise on the lower half of the body. So now the rib cage is going to stay in place. We're going to go up to down. So it's going to go upper abs, middle abs, lower abs, and then a gentle release of the pelvis. And then upper abs, middle abs, lower abs, and release of the pelvis. So this is a lower body undulation. And then we can reverse that, starting with the lower abs, middle abs, upper abs, and then release. Work on keeping that rib cage still. Make sure you're breathing. You're still in your posture. Feet are parallel. And then we can take that movement, the undulation movement, through the whole body. So we're going to go from bending the knees. We're going to tuck the pelvis, lower abs, middle abs, upper back, and allow it to come out the top of the head. So we're going to start with all the way from the floor, almost from the feet, and roll up, a full body undulation or body wave. And then we can reverse that, thinking about starting from the head and rolling down through the spine, one vertebrae at a time. And those are our 50.